Welcome back, Freelancers. I'm the Feed Rescue, and we're doing another build video. We'll head out to Bastion. We're back with the storm, so we'll go out and show it off. We're in the storm, and this build is going to be synergized around Binary Star. So Binary Star we went over it's basically it's a primer, but we're not going to be using it in a primer detonator format. We're not really actually going to be using it to detonate anything. We will be able to detonate some combos, but that's not really the intent of the build. The build is to use the damage over time from Binary Star's burning effect to kill all the enemies. So what we're going to be doing is, so that's why we've only got, like, I'm using this one that has 200 extra charges. I do have one that has a lot more damage, but I don't want the initial hit from Binary Star to do the majority of the damage. I want the damage over time, which is tick damage, to do the majority of the damage. And unfortunately, the gear damage won't actually affect the DOT. It'll only affect the initial hit. So that's why we're going to want to have a lot of charges so we can just spam it all around. Pairing it with 10,000 suns. So with 10,000 suns, basically, whenever we hit an enemy with one of the burning orbs, it'll give us striker strength, and that can stack for 10 stacks, which gives us ultimately 100% gear damage, or 100% damage total, which should apply to both Binary Star's initial and damage over time hit. So that'll increase the DOT damage. We'll be using Elemental Rage. So basically, when you hit elite enemies, they have to be elite enemies, elite or higher. So elite, legendary, stronghold bosses, things like those. When you hit them, it increases all elemental damage, which fire is elemental damage, by 5% for 10 seconds, and it stacks to 20. So basically, it's 100. However, with Jar's Wrath, we just have it here because it has javelin-wide damage with it, and it has some gear recharge. The Lightning Surge, we just have this because it has a little bit of gear damage on it and some armor. And also, when we do a melee, we'll get our shield back. Port Seal, we're just going with Howling Veil, mostly because it has some gear recharge on it, and that's about it. It will be able to create a wind wall for us, so it'll be able to take some damage. However, the wind wall is not very protective, so it will go down relatively quickly. The only thing is, because it'll be going down relatively quickly, it is a detonator, so it will potentially be able to detonate all the enemy types that are in the area of it that are affected by fire priming. The components we got: the Vanguard's token, it just increases my armor by a lot, and then when my shield breaks, I have 40% resistance for 10 seconds, and that's going to synergize with Softening Blows, which increases the javelin's shield by a large amount, but it'll also, when it runs out, it increases damage resistance by 75% for 5 seconds when this shield runs out. So, and then it's got some extra armor on it. The blast damage isn't really going to help me out a whole lot. Symbiotic Surge, it's going to increase the javelin armor by a large amount, increases all damage by 50%, that's including elemental, for 10 seconds when picking up repair packs. I am going to be picking up repair packs pretty often, plus it's also got an inscription of 13% elemental damage, and it's got 30% gear recharge, which should give me a Binary Star back pretty quickly. Mark of the Rune, which is increased fire damage by 5% and fire effect by 5%. And then, after applying a status effect, which will be for us fire, it'll increase fire damage by 50% for 10 seconds. And then it's also got an additional inscription of plus 5% fire effect. Tome of Precision, it increases, so this one's going to be a little bit odd because it increases electric damage by 5% and electric effect by 5%. I do have the melee for electricity, but that's not really why I'm using it. I'm using it because of its Masterwork perk. Defeating an enemy increases elemental damage by 40% for 10 seconds. So that will increase all of my fire damage by 40% for 10 seconds. Token of the Daring, which increases elemental damage by 35%. It decreases physical damage by 35%, but we're not really doing anything with physical damage because we're not going to be focusing on weapon damage. And then on Shield Break, it instantly recharges all my gear. And then it's got a shield refresh, about 15%. It's got alt speed. That's just nice to have. So the way that we're gonna operate this build, or kind of try to create some synergy with it, is first thing I'm gonna do is, when I come in, I'm gonna use Elemental Rage to basically get these stacks up as quick as I can for Veteran's Fury. Get the stacks of 20 as soon as possible, and then while I'm doing that, going back and forth, I'm gonna use 10,000 Sun to get Striker's Wrath up to its full 10 stacks, and switch back and forth between these two, just going back and forth. And then once I have them at max stacks, I'll start shooting out my Binary Star, and then kind of rinse and repeat. So get these at max stacks, use Binary Star, get these at max stacks, Binary Star. And then basically what's going to be happening is, at first I won't see a lot of damage over time. Tome of Precision, So when I defeat an enemy, I'll increase all my elemental damage by 40% for 10 seconds. So now I'm going to have 200% for elemental damage, plus the 40% when I start killing all these enemies. And basically, I should be getting, because when my shield goes down on shield break, which my shield will be going down very often because I haven't budgeted hardly anything for shield, it'll instantly recharge all gear. And because when my shield goes down, I'm going to get Tokens Vanguard and Softening Blows, which make me resistance to 115% damage for 5 seconds. So at that point, my shield should start recharging, and this right here, this inscription should help get it back a lot quicker too. So it'll start recharging, and it'll basically go down in like one shot right away, so it'll recharge all my gear again. So I'll pretty much have an infinite binary star. Not necessarily infinite, but I'll have it pretty often. I will use 10,000 Suns to detonate every once in a while, and I will be using Lightning Surge to get my shield back every once in a while as well. And potentially throwing out Howling Veil, but those are just like ancillary things that aren't really intended for the build. I just happen to have them. They have good rolls, so I'm trying to make the best out of them. But we'll go into Bastion and kind of show it off. Okay, so I'm going to do a legendary mission on GM3. It's the Vanishing Act one. So we should be running into a lot of scars. There's actually an infinite scar area we're going to run into them nonstop, and I'm not going to try and complete the mission. I just want to show the damage we can create with this. And then just for transparency, I will be using the fire sigils, so I should be getting 30, 40, 50, 60% extra fire damage from those. All right, let's go to it.
Massive valve?
Bay, what now?
Hold on. I'm picking up volatile energy readings below. Same for Dax.
So I want to focus
I think you need to
on
silence
using
it to activate the
my
valve. Okay. How do I
elemental rage
Put a smaller
on shielded enemies, because I won't be able to
Yes.
keep my stacks up. Oh, I think I already lost them.
Actually, it already
Alright.
did that. We need to find fragments.
Luckily all these enemies are elites, so this shouldn't be too hard. And see, as you can see, like, they're going down pretty quick, so I have to kind of stay on it. That's why I want right there is elite star enforcers, because they help me, because they can kind of tank a lot.
Good.
All right, so there we go.
Bring it back to the glowy ball thing.
So now I'm just gonna go out, try and keep all my stacks up, and start hitting enemies. As you can see, like, I'm going down pretty hardcore pretty quickly, but that's because I had to get my stacks up. Okay. And I think I lost them all already because I had to retreat. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out. I'm trying to get these enemy types. Throw out one wall real quick to get myself some cover. I'm gonna go over here actually real quickly, get some armor, fall back, try and see if I can get them to come over here. Yeah, they're staying to the other side pretty well. I do have my ult up already, so if I'm getting too close to going down, I can use that. Alright, so Elemental Veteran's Fury is up. Now I'm trying to get my stacks for Striker's Wrath. Just kind of gotta keep going back and forth. Alright, so I got them all up. Seeing about 27 full stacks. Just keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I gotta be very specific with my positioning, because they spawn all over the place. And there's like no real good place for cover. Some shield back. Throw this out every once in a while, just to keep some damage control. Okay, so I got Max Fury back, so that the weaker enemies. So this is the problem with this, is they keep spawning all over the place. I just have to be aware of where they're at, where I'm going. Kind of have a plan while trying to maintain my stacks, which can be pretty aggressive at times. And I kind of like to let these charge up a little bit, so my aim's on point. When you get them grouped up like that too, it makes it a little bit easier to hit all the enemy types. Going to throw out a wind wall, and that's not where I wanted it. Alright. And I can kind of just hide back here behind cover while using this Elite Hunter. There we go. So we're getting about 20,000 tick damage for non-armored, and almost 40 for And I already lost my Striker's Wrath, which sucks. I gotta get that back up. Go ahead and hide back here. Cool down a little bit while we're doing that. I'll try and get some armor. Yep, and I lost both of them already. So that's the thing about it. You have to be really quick, and you kind of got to micromanage it, unfortunately. But once you get it going, you can get like really, really high damage numbers. With these little groups, you want to immediately throw these out. I got to remember I got that enforcer behind me, so he can sneak up behind me at any time and let me have it. Yep, see, there's all this fire coming out from behind me. Go ahead and throw that down. That should go to all the enemy types. I kind of just spam all this all over the place. Those hunters are really giving it to me. I got to be very careful here. This is why you kind of got to be. So they keep spawning behind me, and that's something I'm not really paying too much attention to, but I should be paying more attention to. So that's kind of like a trade-off or budgeting, if you want to call it that. Let me just do this real quick. Maybe I can keep my stacks. Okay, perfect. Realistically, I probably should have used my ult there, but I kind of wanted to keep showing this off. But so yeah, if you keep it going and you can keep taking enemies down, it just builds and builds and builds, and you can just continuously get more and more damage out of these. You just really got to pay attention to your stacks, which it can be kind of a pain in the butt. But if you're not really having a lot of issues with enemy types, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And as long as you can get these hunter shields down, as soon as they go into flight, you can ground them, and then you'll be able to do it. But yeah, I'm seeing approximately 37 and then 30 on armored enemies, or 30 on armored enemies and about 37 on non-armored enemies. As long as you can keep the binary stars coming, you should be good, and you shouldn't run out of them as long as you have a couple good charges. But we'll go into a stronghold and show it off there. Okay, so we're about to join a stronghold for quick play. We're going to be in GM3, and just for transparency, I took off one of my fire sigils, so I'm going to be getting 50% extra fire gear or fire damage, and then I just threw on an epic armor just to prevent me from going down and being completely useless to my teammate. Alright, so I'm going to try and get my stacks up really quickly here. Got it going down, hopefully. Oh, I got grounded. That sucks. Let's see what we're doing here. About 36,000. Not too bad against Furies. Alright, so this phase of the monitor is pretty much fire, so I'll show you real quickly. I'm not going to be able to do anything with binary star against them. Well, so if it hits a weak point, I won't be able to do anything, but because it's hitting non-weak points, it is doing something. So I just got to keep my stacks up, which this is going to be kind of easy. I just have to keep moving. Close. Almost didn't make it. So the only thing is now I'm not getting that extra 40% because I'm not killing anything. So I'm depending only on Striker's Wrath and Veteran's Fury to do the damage. But I'm doing about 20,000, 25,000, so about the same in the other area. And here's something that's kind of interesting. I can get my Striker's Fury right now because technically the monitor's there. So 31, doing about 31,000 damage, 31,500 against them. So I'm about to take a hit. Oh, I got out of there just in time. Now we're doing about 34. get to 35. I could probably get to 35 by getting the orb. $37. Nice. Overall, the binary star build is pretty fun. It's not like the most powerful storm build there is, but it's still like it's pretty engaging. You do have to stay on top of your stacks for both the 10,000 Sun and Elemental Rage. But as long as you stay on top of those stacks and you have enough charges that you can throw them out, you should be pretty good to go. Unfortunately, this build is kind of inscription driven, so you might have issues with that if you don't have very good inscriptions, but that's just kind of the grind of the game. Just keep grinding till you get the inscription you want. Like myself, I'm going to try and grind to get better inscriptions for overall damage to get 50,000 ticks. But I'm going to end the video here. Not much else to be said. Hope to see you guys out in Bastion. Later.